John, your advice is needed. Aidan Hutchinson, from one Michigan great to another. How would you advise him? We have not seen a contract extension.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Well, it's interesting because, as you've mentioned, almost all the other draft picks that have been high draft picks, Amon-Ra St. Brown, not a high draft pick, but an impact player, have all been extended by this point. Last year, right before the draft, it was both Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And so the question is, why haven't we seen or really even heard about, what was the last time we heard any scuttle of contract being worked on?
None. It's silent.
And respect to both camps. I'm sure that the topic has been talked about. I don't know how far down the road either side has gotten. So the question is it Brad Holmes and the Lions that want to see a healthy Aidan Hutchinson? They still need more proof? Or is it Hutch who says, you know what, I appreciate the numbers. They look nice. They would be great. But I'm going to bet on myself because I think I could be Defensive Player of the Year. I was setting myself up for that last year and a huge payday this offseason. And I think that's probably more of what the holdup is because everybody's talking about, well, why isn't Brad Holmes getting this contract done?
And it feels like it would be
a no-brainer.
Yeah, and it feels like it would be against Brad Holmes' nature to not already have this deal done. Mm-hmm. So I tend to think it's Aidan, and he has to make a decision. Do I take the best deal I can get right now, which is life-changing money, or am I betting on myself to get even more when I win Defensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year and 20 sacks and all that stuff?
Well, and the other question is, it's this looming question because it was Max Crosby at the trade deadline. It was Myles Garrett when he said, I don't want to be back in Cleveland anymore. It's Trey Hendrickson and the contract issues he's having down in Cincinnati. It's what are they doing opposite Aidan Hutchinson? And they've got this... It's very much like the Wings, where they've created this opportunity, but they've extended some guys, and not like the Wings, but it's this cap space that they have. What are they saving this cap space for? And everyone thinks it's a huge deal coming for Aidan Hutchinson. But it doesn't have to be, even if you extend him, it doesn't have to be biting into the cap space that you have this year. So are they saving that for another edge rusher?
Squeeze in one more player. Well, we know Brad Holmes has said that he doesn't understand why people bring up that other edge.
Right.
So I kind of tend to believe that's not the case.
And heck, throw TJ Watt in that conversation now because he's got some issues going on in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
last year of his deal.
I saw the headline. The problem is they're kind of all in. When you add Aaron Rodgers and you trade away your first-round pick, the deal they made this week, you're all in. I can't imagine they're going to move TJ Watt this season.
I wouldn't think so. But that's part of the conversation.
But then I looked. So if Aidan picked up the phone and he can get in touch with you, I mean, you guys are in that Michigan fraternity, and he goes, John, I'm not going to give you the numbers, but they're offering me among the best at my position right now.
Yeah.
Should I take it, or should I bet on myself and try to set the market and be the highest paid pass rusher, the highest paid non-quarterback by putting it out on tape this season? What would you tell him?
So, having been a former player and approaching free agency, I always did my deal before I got to that last year of my contract. I do have some regrets about that. You get to free agency, you're going to make more money. And not that he's not getting to free agency next year. It's still that extra year that they would pick up, but it's all guaranteed money. So they picked up that fifth-year option. He's guaranteed the next 2 years of his salary, which is still life-changing money.
Yes.
It's not the life-changing money that we have seen Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, all of these other guys get, and I think we'll eventually see Trey Hendrickson get. But he's got enough money to live comfortably, very comfortably the rest of his life. I would tell him, bet on yourself. Go out there and be the best version of Aidan Hutchinson. Be the guy that had the 7.5 sacks in 5 games, that ended the year last year still having the most sacks of the Lions, even only having played in 5 games. And I don't care. Everybody always says, well, he was playing against backups. He was playing against guys. It doesn't matter. They're all NFL linemen. And he is going to have that opportunity over the course of 17 games to be playing against stud tackles and be playing against guys that are playing simply because there's somebody that's hurt. So you can rack up a bunch of sacks. You can be the guy that everyone thought you were going to be when you were drafted, because he has been, just this little gap of injury. His injury, to me, is not one because it didn't involve the ankle and it didn't involve the knee. It was very dramatic. It was gruesome, but it was a broken bone.
It's not going to hurt future explosiveness.
No, he's going to come back as good or better than he was before. And he's been able to come back from a very similar leg injury on the other side when he was at Michigan. And I think everybody looks at what he did in his last year at Michigan as that's a pretty damn good year. And what he's done to this point.
Yeah.
The difference of when I played and when, Aidan is playing is the amount of money and also where he was drafted, right? He's a first-round pick.
Yeah. But the money's exploded.
The money has 100% exploded. So I would tell him, bet on yourself. Go out there, have a dominant year, and I would almost say, bet on yourself for the next 2 years. Push it to free agency. Make them decide: do we want to use the franchise tag on you, or do we want to give you a record-setting deal?
So Myles Garrett reset the market. 4 years, $123 million, averages 40 per season. I would give him that today if I was the Lions, because I know it's only going to go up. I have no doubts that Aidan Hutchinson is going to get back on a football field and wreak havoc. He came in as a rookie and had 9.5 sacks out of the box. The motor runs. He plays every down. Whether you look at the sack numbers or not, he's constantly pressuring the quarterback. Teams have to slide protections, put the tight end in the back in. He disrupts game plans. He had 11.5 sacks his second year. He was well on his way to a sack title before the injury last year. I think once again he's going to be 15, 16, 17. I think there's a 20-sack season in him now that we're up to a 17-game season. I'd pay him now because the cost is only going to go up. TJ Watt's going to get paid. Micah Parsons is going to get paid. If I'm Brad Holmes, it's in his nature to get the deal done early, one, to reward his players, but two, to lock in a better deal. The Goff contract is going to look a lot better as more of these guys get signed. I would think you'd apply the same logic to Aidan, which is why I think the holdup is Aidan wants to bet on himself. And hearing you as a player say, I get it, I'd advise it. Yeah,
I would 100% advise you to bet on yourself. And you look at, we said this last year, and it literally lasted, a day, 2 days, when Amon-Ra St. Brown was the highest paid receiver. All of a sudden, Philly pays A.J. Brown, and we've seen other contracts since then.
Jefferson's come up, and Chase has come up.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you're just going to keep working down the list. So why not? You know what Myles Garrett is making. You know what he signed for. You know what Max Crosby is making. What you don't know is, what is Trey Hendrickson going to sign for? He's been the sack leader for the last 2 years. Yep. Let's see what that ends up being. TJ Watt, looking for a new deal, probably going to get a new deal. What do those numbers look like? Micah Parsons for Dallas. What does that number look like? Because if you sign now, they're all going to use that as a benchmark. Well, I need to be above that.
So it's a game of chicken, but the difference is Parsons is up sooner than Aidan. So Aidan's strategy is, well, let the guys who are up sooner, TJ Watt, ink their deals and give me more of a boost.
And this conversation, I said maybe you take it to after year 5, force them to decide whether they want to use the franchise tag on you or give you another record-setting deal, because in 2 years, is that deal going to be worth $5 million more per year?
Yep.
$10 million more per year?
Could be.
I mean, you're talking astronomical numbers.
$50 million per year non-quarterback is going to happen in the next handful of seasons.
Yeah, and I would tell them, hey, if you want to get this deal done now, then it's $50 a year. And if you don't, then that's fine.
Then I'll see you in 2 years and it'll be $50 a year.
Yeah.
Look, that's the argument to wait. Ticket text 248-539-9797. If I'm Aidan, I'm not signing an extension. I'm dragging this out as long as I can. I'm trying to leave to go to a place that has an actual D-line to help me be even better.
Well, I don't think that's the thing, but the leverage that he has is, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, where did Aidan Hutchinson grow up?
He grew up
in Plymouth.
At the Divine Child High School.
Yeah, so local guy. And where did he go to college?
University of Michigan.
Okay.
It was in Ann Arbor.
And then now he's playing with the Detroit Lions.
Allen Park, and then, Detroit.
He has all the public support on his side. And we're talking about trying to find somebody opposite him. Can you imagine if we got to a world where he's too expensive for the Lions, and they decide that he is the odd man out, like this place would blow up.
No, it's not going to happen.
So, yeah, bet on yourself because you have all the leverage.
Texter says, if I'm Aidan, I'm waiting as long as possible. Waiting for TJ, Parsons, Hendrickson. Then I'm getting my maximized dollar amount. Texter says, okay, John, you're Scooble's agent. Same advice? ? Scott in Waterford.
Yeah.
As hard as that is to hear, yeah.
Yeah, but the difference is Aidan Hutchinson is making a lot more money at this time than he is than Scooble is.
Who's going to make $50 million a year first between the two? Do they both get it?
I don't think Scoob's getting 50 here, but he could get 50 somewhere.
Right.
I think Aidan could get 50 here.
The only difference is, and like you're getting in the weeds on this, but the MLB is facing a potential lockout.
Oh, I don't think we have baseball in 27.
No, and the arm event risk is much more real for Scooble than it is something like that for Aidan.
If Scooble takes this beyond that CBA expiring, you have no idea what the new CBA is going to look like.
Right. Is there a salary cap? That's because that's what the owners want. They want a floor and a salary cap because it would greatly affect the earnings, the future earnings of Tarek Scooble.
I don't think baseball will ever have a hard cap. Ever.
I don't think they will either, which I think is also what leads me to believe that in 27, I hate to say this, because what happened last time there was a lockout? It ruined the game for 20 years.
Oh, I was going to say we rushed to sign Javi Baez.
That was a mini lockout.
Well, but
I know the real big lockout. I know.
Yeah. The season started a week late. It wasn't that big of a deal.
Right.
Ticket text 248-539-9797. John's advice to Aidan Hutchinson is bet on yourself. Maybe that explains why a deal hasn't been done yet. Ticket texter says, don't give him term. Signed, Steve. It's 97-1.